All right, it's Chris and Brian here from Resolve Technology, and today's topic is conditional access. Chris is going to talk a little bit about how we use conditional access for clients when we're setting up the Microsoft 365 tenant to make it more secure, and in some instances, maybe a little bit more user friendly depending on the situation. Chris, can you take it away?
Yeah, sure. So with conditional access, it's not something that's set up right out of the box with Microsoft 365. Usually you'll see here, like in this main Entra admin center, security defaults. Microsoft has that turned enabled by default, which is, they do that because managing security is not easy for everyone. Not everyone has the IT staff to handle these things. And it's a little more secure with that on if you're not going to use conditional access, to protect against phishing, random identity related attacks and things of that nature. But when you upgrade your license, to business premium, or you get the Azure, what is it, Azure Premium P1 license, or they call it Entra P1 now, that unlocks that functionality, you'd have to come in here and turn that basic security defaults off. Then once you would do that, you'd want to make sure you get your conditional access policy set up right away. The main ones we usually start with, if like we're starting with a fresh client or we just onboarded a new client and they didn't have anything set up, is we typically use conditional access to enforce MFA, multi-factor authentication, to do a country block, blocking sign in from certain countries. And you can also get into blocking, legacy MFA, but that's, for another video. So if we come in here, you know, these are the policies we have on this specific tenant here. But if you wanted to do something like the country blocks, you need to create a named location first. And this could be a country location, IP range location. This could also be used for trusted IP addresses. Like maybe you use the public IP address at your office because you got a static IP in the office. You just come here and set office to your, the IP. And then you'd also, for the country block portion of it, you'd come in here and you can just check boxes. So you can do this multiple ways. You see, I'm just blocking everything that's not the US and Canada, but you could also just select countries you want to allow sign in from. So you could invert what I'm doing. There's some flexibility with how you set it up. Now that we have the all those name locations, defined in here, no, you create the conditional access policy, name it whatever you want. But when you come in here, we'll see, we're including all users. You can exclude users as well. But for this, we just include all. We choose all cloud apps. So all Microsoft cloud apps. You could limit which apps you want to have this rule apply to. Like maybe you just want, web apps to have this in the browser. I generally just default to all cloud apps on like a general conditional access policy like this. Then we come here and select the conditions. Under here, we configure this. You can see I selected, a location, not any or trusted. And I chose that name location I just showed you earlier in the video. And then when you come down to grant, you just choose block address. And then you'd save the policy. Now, down here, you'll see report only on and off. Report only, you could say that's more helpful. Like, I don't know, say you're setting up multi-factor, you want to enforce it tenant wide, but you don't want, what if you locked everyone out? In that case, you could put it in report only. And then as users are signing in, it's going to log and, tell you what the policy would do. So it might say, condition met because they used the Microsoft Authenticator to sign in. If you see a bunch of those, then your policy's in good shape and ready to go.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for that. I mean, that's an excellent intro for somebody that's not that familiar with Microsoft Entra and setting up conditional access. Like you mentioned, one of the things that I've heard recently, Microsoft is looking to make things more secure by default.
Yeah.
So that's why depending on your organization, you may not need to go this far. But most of the clients that we work with, we have to tailor it to their environment, tighten things up.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a great intro, Chris. Thank you for that.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.